Joining us now is Carol Leonnig, Pulitzer Prize-winning national investigative reporter for The Washington Post, and one of the two bylines on this blockbuster reporting tonight. You have answered the president's calls, Carol, definitively. Indeed, it does seem like nuclear secrets were found down at Mar-a-Lago. Can you walk us through this whole process? We knew in May, right, that the Department of Justice maybe was looking for this kind of material in their subpoena to the grand jury. And what has happened since?
Great question, Alex. So because of my great colleague, Devlin Barrett, who I co-bylined this story with, the public learned that in May, the Department of Justice was seeking all sorts of classified records at Mar-a-Lago, but they included records that are particularly sensitive that involve nuclear capabilities, or really sort of what you'd consider a foreign government or the U.S. government's ability to wage nuclear war. Where are they on that continuum? Are they seeking nuclear ingredients, recipes, equipment? Do they have the capacity that we are worried about? Are they a true nuclear rival? These are all records and materials that are covered by this classification that the Department of Justice sought in its May subpoena for records at the former president's part-time residence and resort club. So we know that that's what happened. They were looking for it. But I also have learned, along with my colleague, that when they made this subpoena, they were kind of throwing the kitchen sink, concerned about anything with these kinds of classification records, anything with these markings that was stuff that needed to be under lock and key. And now we know that while they were seeking some of this material, lo and behold, they found some. We don't know how much. We don't know which foreign government is involved. We have some theories, but we published what we can establish with great certainty, and that is that among the records seized, there were details so classified, so concerning, that it was covered by this classification, material that relates to a foreign government's nuclear capacity.
I think it bears mentioning the degree to which the DOJ really had to hunt this material down, right? Because Trump had several bites at the apple, if you will, in terms of returning these papers that belong to the government back to the government. He had all of 2021. He had January when he sort of sent over the first couple boxes. He had a chance in June when the DOJ came down to Mar-a-Lago. And yet these nuclear secrets, so ultra classified that you have to look at them in a secure compartmented facility, he did not return those any of the times previous. And in fact, they were not discovered, it sounds like, until the DOJ got that search warrant to go inside Mar-a-Lago. Is that material to the investigation, the fact that this was not ceded willingly back to the government?
It's huge. I mean, it's why in their search warrant, which was executed August 8th, and they seized these records and began looking through them. It's huge that before that happened, 2 months before that search and that search warrant, the government was asking for these records and was told, we've done a search. The Trump team said June 3rd, we've looked at everything. After a diligent search, there's no more classified material down here. Well, who told Trump's lawyers, these are the boxes to look in? Here you can see all my records. Or how diligent was that search? Because it didn't take the government more than about 8 to 9 hours on site to get this trove of hundreds and hundreds of documents. I'll also add one other thing that I think is important, Alex, about what we learned in the last couple of hours, and that is in this story by Devlin and myself. And that is that one of the biggest alarm bells that begins ringing in investigators' ears after the August 8th search is that some of the records are records they can't look at. They don't have the classification. And that includes some of the senior most national security officials in the country. There are, in some instances for these special access programs, and I'm not speaking specifically of records seized at Mar-a-Lago, but the category of special access programs, super, super secret, as few as a dozen people can be read into these programs. The president or a cabinet level official, someone near to a cabinet official, has to approve someone being read in to review these records. So again, keep in mind the alarm bells that we're hearing about from multiple sources on August 8th, when they start looking at these records, is, oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to look at this. Now, that's bizarro world when you think about the fact that they were just in a storage room or in the former president's office or residence. Not only should these things be under lock and key in a SCIF, they shouldn't be accessible to anyone who lives, works, or breathes at Mar-a-Lago. There is no one there that is read into the programs that top national security officials aren't read into.
Yeah, they were effectively being stored in like the basement of an event venue, and the big security was the fact that there was only one key to the closet. It is staggering when you think about and contextualize the level of security afforded this kind of information traditionally when the information is housed where it's supposed to be. Do you know, Carol, how the DOJ officials who didn't actually have the security clearance to read this stuff eventually got that clearance? I mean, how did they actually discover all of this if they weren't supposed to be looking at it?
I have to tell you, the sources that we have not provided that information about those senior-most officials and the process by which they looked at this material. But I would, guess, a big guess, that somebody had to be deputized and multiple people had to be authorized and were given the need to know authorization and read into these special access programs so that they could review the documents as part of an ongoing and increasingly more alarming criminal investigation.